Welcome to Bus Channel's English program. I'm Imtiaz Patel Varediawala, and you are watching the program called In Conversation With. I'm one of the hosts of the English section. Bus is brought to you by the Community Media Centre Bolton, UK. And as the name suggests, it is a channel for communication, it is the channel for conversation, and also it is the channel or it is a medium for us to interact with each other. One of the most important elements as far as this program is concerned, which is called In Conversation With, we invite community representatives, we invite professionals, maybe they are from health background, education background, civil servant, community activist, thinkers, scholars, and we put forward them questions normally would have been submitted by our listeners and viewers. So this program is basically about our conversation with a person who is inverted comma expert or have in-depth knowledge on respective subjects. And the whole point of this conversation is to provide our viewers and listeners what we call accurate information, and also to convey the knowledge and skills our guest may have to offer, so that they would be able to enhance on that particular subjects if they wish to. Today, my guest is what I call a young activist, community activist with a sound background. In conversation with, we have got Faz Patel MBE, who is in our studio, and I will be talking to Faz Patel on the subject which is equally very important, very sensitive, and also very complex at the same time, and we'll be talking about community cohesion and extremism in the society. So on behalf of our listeners, on behalf of our viewers, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Faz Patel to our studio. Thank you for coming to our studio.
Thanks very much, Imtiaz. How are you? Okay.
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well, thank you. But may I remind our viewers and listeners that if you would like to let us have any questions, or if you would like to have any feedback, any suggestions, observations, you can always ring us on our studio number, which is UK 01204 435 825. You can visit our website, which is www.britasianbuzz.com, and you can also follow us or send your feedback on our social media site, which is obviously Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Imtiaz Patel Varediawala. You are watching this program called In Conversation With. I have got a very important and knowledgeable guest, Faz Patel MBE, with me in our studio. So we will be talking about community cohesion and extremism. We are conscious as far as the Bus channel and our editors, our advisors is concerned. It's a very sensitive, it's a very topical, very complex subject, but I'm sure that having Faz Patel, who has got extensive knowledge in the subject, will be able to deal with the subject sensitively, and hopefully at the end of the interview, we will all have some insight into it. As far as Faz Patel's background is concerned, he was born in Blackburn. Most of his education he achieved in Blackburn as well. He has been associating with some of the very important institutions, British institutions, like advisor to armed force. He has been advisor onto the panel of government advisors onto the panel of extremism. He has visited India, a country like France, Belgium, in order to raise the profile of those soldiers who fought in World War II on behalf of the British Army. But I think rather than me sharing that information, as we will progress with the interview, I will ask these questions to Faz Patel so that he can enlighten us in terms of his association with all these different activities when it comes to community activities, community empowerment, and community cohesion. Let me just put our viewers and listeners in a perspective about today's subject. Cohesion means sticking together. Community cohesion means different communities living together in harmony and peace. In a multicultural society like in Britain and elsewhere, cohesion is a very, very important issue. It is a complex issue. There are people who advocate segregation and they want the communities living separately. And there are some who favor assimilation. They want to see all different cultures assimilated into one mainstream culture. Is there a middle path? And I think this is the question, or these kind of questions would be very important from our viewers and listeners' point of view, that you have extremism sometimes exist on both parameters, but is there a middle path? And that is one of the purpose that today we have a guest, Mr. Faz Patel MBE, who is actively involved in community cohesion project, so he will throw light on these questions. Another dimension I would like to bring in on behalf of Bebas is that similarly, these days in the media and conversations, we come across the word radicalization. This means holding extreme views. It implies intolerance of others. Radicalism is normally talked about in terms of religion. There is a perception that a religious person is likely to be radical. But our viewers have asked another question. The question is there something like secular radicalism? If religious person cannot tolerate secular minded people, they are called radicals. In the same spirit or in the same way, if secular people do not tolerate religious people, what is it called, or what would you call them? These are the serious questions we will be asking Faz Patel, and let us talk to our guest Faz Patel. And once again, very warm welcome to you to talk about this crucial subject. So tell us something about your background. Would you like me to call you Faisal, Faz, or Faz Patel? Because obviously
you can just call me Faz.
I have to maintain the level of dignity and cultural kind of sensitivity with every guest. So Faz, you would be comfortable with that.
Faz,
Okay, that's fine. So Faz, tell us about your background in terms of your childhood, your upbringing, your education, please, to our viewers and listeners.
First of all, I'm not an academic person. So I'm a grassroots activist. I've always been a grassroots community activist. I was born in Blackburn, just from which is only about 15 miles away from here, from Bolton, in 1970s, mid 1970s. So I can't give you my age. I went to a local school in Blackburn. At the age of 15, I actually was bullied. So during my second year, I was bullied for about 1.5 years, and this had a big, massive impact on my education. And within our Asian community, especially within our PME community, people do get bullied. Youngsters do get bullied. Not only within our Asian community, but within various communities. And I think for me, the biggest mistake was I couldn't talk to my parents because the environment was very different. But alhamdulillah, I went to Blackburn College then, and my teacher was a very one of those teachers who actually had confidence in me. So alhamdulillah, when I went to college, he gave me the chance to actually stand up to myself, to join the unions, and this is where I actually changed my life. So 16, 17, that's when I actually managed to join the union, student union, and understood the power of having a voice. So this is my brief school.
Right. So just following up to that conversation, particularly, I would like to pick up just one point about bullying you mentioned. And I think it's very courageous of you to have admitted and to say that you were subjected to that. What would be your message nowadays? Because I'm sure that you must have learned, and through your experiences, you would have something to tell our viewers and listeners, or maybe those people who are subjected to bullying even now as we talk.
Even today, I've been in a very fortunate positions within the unions. I like to help everyone. I can understand where bullying. When a person gets bullied mentally, physically, we sometimes don't understand. The community sometimes don't understand, but we have to understand that that person who's getting bullied, they lose confidence, they have anxiety, stress. Sometimes they actually, family, they have an impact within their social circles. I was brought up in a very lovely family, mashallah, a very confident family. However, the people who used to bully me, I used to be scared. I couldn't even go to library, thinking these guys will bully me. But the thing is, my message to those people who are bullying, I think it's very, very important that we stand up. We stand up to these people who are who bully you. And sometimes you might think that I might just rock the boat. People sometimes have this. People sometimes think I just don't want to say anything, whether it's at work, whether it's at anywhere. People sometimes think I just don't want to rock the boat. I'll just suffer in silence. No one should suffer in silence. If you're getting bullied, there is help available. Talk to a friend, talk to someone that you trust, and inshallah, once you actually raise this issue of bullying, you'll see the difference. It's no use bottling things in your heart.
Right, okay. Thank you very much for that, Faz. So, after completing your education and dealt with all these situations, at what point, when did you first start taking interest in I would call community activities, community development work, and how that then linked into what we are talking
Yeah,
now is community cohesion?
yeah. My see, growing up in Blackburn in a very diverse community. You know, we used to have a football pitch called St. John's, just by on Wally Range, where we used to see 200 children playing at one time. You know, football from one side and cricket. And I remember it was one evening in winter when I was playing football. Um, Out of the 4 lights, there were 3 lights was working. Um, I contacted the council on numerous occasions. I went to the councillors, and I went to different people. When I said that I contacted the council, I contacted the councillors. I went to the key leaders in our community. You know, being young, the lights are not working. There's about youngsters playing football. So it so happened that one day I went to college and I was very angry. And I was telling my teacher about problems within our community and saying that these lights are not working, it's having an impact on our football. And he actually gave me a very simple homework. And he goes to me, Faz, over the weekend, I'm just giving you a very simple homework. Your job is to actually get a number from the lamppost. In the United Kingdom, you know, wherever there's a lamppost, you'll see a number. And he goes to me that your job is to get me the numbers. So it so happened, I went to this lamppost and the number was 148. And I thought this is such an easy homework. So me and my friends, we managed to locate these numbers. And then on a Monday, I went to college. My teacher said to me, Faz, have you bought the work? And I said, yes, I've bought the number. And then he actually said to me, this is the yellow pages. And what I want you to do is contact the council. So I contacted the council. Then he actually said to me that you need to ask for the highway department, the people who's in charge of the lights. So I managed to do that. First time I'm doing this, I contacted the council. The lady on the phone, she took the numbers. She asked me, what are the numbers for the lamppost? And then that's when I realized. So I gave the numbers, and then she said that within the 72 hours, you know, we managed to get the lights working. And it so happened that I reported the issue on Monday, and on Thursday evening, the lights were working. And I thought this is the power of, you know, education, the power of understanding. And since then, I've actually got involved in challenging a lot of things in the community.
Right. So, moral of the story is, if you do see the problem, don't ignore it, don't avoid it, but do actually something.
Oh yeah, do something
Something
about
with
it.
it, something about it, and getting through the right channel and taking one step at a time, or taking that problem forward, can or will definitely come into the result. So, but I mean, people do have a tendency to kind of, you know, sometimes in situations like that, just moan and groan and do nothing. Whereas I think that one incident led into the another area of you getting more active, because that gave you confidence, that gave you some kind of, you know, a purpose to do.
I think what my perception is that you have to go to these certain key leaders, you've got to go to these councillors, but they all failed me. You know, I went for 3-4 months knocking on the doors, even at night. I remember, you know, in the evening it was cold, and we used to say, Uncle Sir, the lights are not working, and they used to say, oh, don't worry. And this don't worry led me to this. And
led you to worry.
Oh yeah, no, well, most of the councillors now worry because not only the lights, but I've managed to change the bins issue, the 2 weekly bin collection in Blackburn, where we had a big massive issue, recycling, litter, and it's only when we actually empower our youngsters, you know, when we actually say to our youngsters that this is what you need to do, you know, you can change it can transform a life. And that's when I actually got involved. And then that's when my teacher said, get involved in unions. And that's when I got involved in the world of union, where you deal with people's problems on a daily basis. And that's when you find that, wow, you're making a difference.
Sure, yeah. Making a difference, that's a big thing. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in program you're watching and listening is called In Conversation With. My name is Imtiaz Patel Varediawala. I'm going to be the host of this program. We have got today a very young, talented, knowledgeable person who is talking about community cohesion and extremism, Faz Patel MBE. If you would like to let us have any questions you may have or any feedback, please do call us on our studio number, which is UK 01204 435 825, or of course you can submit your suggestions and feedback on our website and on our social media site, which is Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp. Faz, at what point then you started connecting yourself with community cohesion? From community activities, from community development, making a difference to community cohesion.
I'm still a grassroots guy. I'm proud to be a grassroots person. You know, I mean, I like to clean the streets, the back alleys. Even today, I have my fundamental core beliefs that I do. Okay. I was already involved in a lot of community issues, helping people's forms and everything. And then whilst I was working in the civil service, it so happened that, alhamdulillah, in this country, mashallah, if you just go 10 miles away from here, Trafford Centre, mashallah, you'll find a prayer room. You go to Manchester Airport, you'll find a prayer room. You go to government buildings, mashallah, this country has given us a lot of things. You have prayer rooms, wazoo facilities, even on the motorway. So it so happened that when I used to work in Preston, we used to have a small prayer room, and people were just petitioning. You know what I mean? People were just petitioning, saying that they want this and that. Anyway, everyone did a petition, and he went to the senior manager, and the senior manager said that we've given you a prayer room, use it. In your time, you can use it. But even then, some people, when you give them something, they take advantage. A lot of people will agree with me that when you go to Trafford Centre, there's wudu facilities. You've got to make sure that when you've done the wudu, make sure you mop the floor because of health and safety. So the senior manager, once I went to the senior manager and I said that what you've given us is very good. It's a prayer room. You can pray, at work, and you can pray your Zohar and also in winter. And then she asked me a question, and this is where I actually heavily got involved in community cohesion. She goes to me that people are actually asking me for prayer rooms and for this and that, but myself, I've been brought up in a family where religion is nothing. We're senior civil servants. We just read the papers and off we go to work. I've never been to a mosque. That's the first thing she said. I don't even know what you do in this prayer room. And I thought to myself, I've been brought up in our community thinking that everyone knows about my religion. And she goes to me, Faz, where I work, there's a big massive mosque in Preston, Nurul. She goes, that's the mosque I see every day. She's from Liverpool. I've never ever been to a mosque. I don't even know what you do. What is Islam? So I thought to myself, it is because of our fault, and it is my duty to reach out to them. So alhamdulillah, I managed to get involved with her. I invited them to the Nur Hall in Nur Masjid in Preston. And mashallah, she invited hundreds of civil servants. And that's when I understood the power of education. Mashallah, because of that, we've managed to create various prayer rooms across this country, on motorways, in different government buildings, in health departments, just because of this one small thing. And the senior civil servant, she's been very instrumental in actually helping me and understanding and always asking me for advice. And that's why I advise the youngsters and the other people that, if you're working in this country, alhamdulillah, if you're going for Friday prayers, if you're going for iftari, invite them to your house, invite them to the local masjid, arrange a mosque visit, because bichari, these people don't have no idea, and sometimes we just accuse them saying they know everything. They have nothing. And that is why I think it's important that we engage. And in 2005, when I did my first Islamic stall in the civil service, I had more than 1,000 civil servants, who actually attended, took Qurans. We gave free Qurans, and we gave the booklet on what Islam really means. And that's when we differentiate between understanding Islam. But then it so happened that everything changed. The 7/7 bombings. On one side, we're promoting a religion of peace, a religion of understanding in summer, and then 7/7. The same manager, she contacted me and she invited me to her office and she said, Faz, what do you say about this in London? And I think that's when it made us more understanding that, hang on, we have to differentiate between what happened in London and what Islam really means.
Okay. On that note, you've been because when I received your biodata, and I'm still reading it actually, one of the paragraph I read that you've been advisor, or you are advisor to various government bodies on community issues, especially on community cohesion.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what sort of bodies or what sort of work it involves, please?
Whilst I was in the civil service, in the government, I was encouraged. Since my school days, I started unions, so I had good links with unions. From unions, I then joined the PCS. It's a union within the civil service, and alhamdulillah, from there I became the chair for the Black Members Group in Lancashire, and this gave me a really powerful voice within the union. For dealing with Black Members Group between the BME issues, and not only that, also being an advisor in the Department of Work and Pensions, in the civil service at the senior level, advising them on equality issues. I was in the union, however, I was in the middle. I had to make sure that the members were happy and also the management were happy. And alhamdulillah, we made a big, massive progression on equality and diversity. Not only Islam, but I had friends from Hinduism, Sikh, Judaism, Christian, and mashallah, by working together, we made a big, massive difference.
Okay,
You know?
that's cool. So now, from community cohesion to radicalization, our viewers and listeners have submitted one of the questions to our panel is that they would like to know that how serious is this issue of radicalization in Britain nowadays?
I think everyone will agree with me that what's happened with ISIS, we all condemn, the barbaric killing that they, even one of the charity workers from Bolton, from your town, he beheaded, by ISIS. We condemn what's happening in the Middle East, especially in Syria and also in Iraq. This group called ISIS and groups like Al Qaeda. I think we have a big, massive problem now, where our youngsters, we have access to internet, to smartphones, and it's not like before that you can actually go onto a video and watch a glossy program on ISIS. Any youngsters can now pick up a smartphone and an internet at home and actually access ISIS propaganda machine. And this is where it actually plays within themselves. We all condemn extremism. We all condemn terrorism. And I think it's very, very important that today we have to engage with our youngsters. We have to engage with our young brothers and sisters as well, saying that not only, why are you doing this? Sometimes you might just talk to youngsters, they feel bored, they feel left out from the society. And that's why we've seen instances across the country that youngsters have just gone to Syria and you're thinking, what has made them? But then you've got to understand that it has an impact to the mothers, to the fathers, to the families, to the siblings, to the everyone. It has an impact on the society.
Society at large.
Sometimes they don't realize this 19-year-old. I've met. I know someone. The son went to Syria. The sons went to Syria, and the authorities know that. But the mother's crying. The mother's crying. Grandmother's ill. So sometimes people don't realize that.
I see.
The impact.
Right. And is radicalization related to only one particular community, or we find radical elements in all communities? Because as I was doing my homework, I was preparing myself for this interview on community cohesion and extremism. I have come across with this article. Again, the title says Muslim radicals threaten to kill teachers. So is this situations with radicalization only exist within one particular community, or do you see these kind of a concept across the community as well?
I sit in this panel in London where we actually deal with extremism and challenging, how we can actually work together. I think radicalization exists in every community. Okay, the problem is this: alhamdulillah, like this, what you have, mashallah, this media sector, I think it's very good to promote the message of love, peace, and tolerance. I think it's very important that we have these sort of facilities, and I think the government should look into this sort of invite in this sort of facilities where we can actually reach to hundreds of people in our community to promote the message of love, to promote a message of tolerance, living together in this society. I think radicalization is in every single community. We sometimes have the media who likes to stir, hate certain Islamic, saying everything that happens is to do with Islam. And then we see a big, massive problem of Islamophobia. What happened in London in 7/7, hate crimes arose. Hate crimes were happening in Blackburn, in Bolton, in Preston, in Scotland. Now, what these 4 people did, these terrorists, it had an impact on mosques, on people were getting bullied, Muslims were being victimized. And I think it's very, very important that we report this sort of crimes. If we don't report this sort of crimes, the police won't have no idea. I'll give you one example. What happened in London about the drummer Lee Rigby, the soldier, when he was beheaded. I know that in Bolton, cars were vandalized. In Blackburn, mosque was vandalized. So many people, which are, so many innocent people, Muslim people, who have nothing to do with these guys, were attacked. It's important at that time that we have to report this sort of crimes, hate crimes, to the police. If we don't report this sort of hate crimes, no one has no idea of monitoring these sort of things. I know the government is taking, and yes, Greater Manchester Police and Lancashire Constabulary are doing a fantastic job in monitoring this sort of activities. And yes, they are actually making sure that they encourage the Muslim community to report this sort of crimes.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to B-Buzz channel, English section, the program called In Conversation With. My name is Imtiaz Patel Varediawala, and we have got guest in our studio who is talking about community cohesion and activism. Faz Patel MBE, our young talented community activist who is sharing the information on the subject. If you have any questions or if you would like to submit feedback or statements, you can please call us on our studio number, which is UK 01204 435 825. You can visit our website, which is www.britasianbuzz.com, or social media, Facebook, Twitters, and WhatsApp. Once again, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and our viewers and listeners. You are listening to In Conversation with Imtiaz Patel Varediawala. So, you have talked about education, that is very important. You have talked about to remain very active, which is again very important. You have also recognized that what we are doing, which is the Community Media Center UK, it's a platform where we decided right from the day one that we are not going to involve ourselves into any controversies, any sensationalizations or dramatization of any news. Basically, what we are here is to invite people like you, individuals like you, whom we consider that they are role model, and as long as the positive messages goes out, and as long as the accurate information goes out, so people can make conscious choices, and this is how we believe that we can empower individuals and community members.
I think what you guys are doing is fantastic, because on one side we have people like Anjum Chowdhury, who promote hate, okay, and and then we have a propaganda machine of ISIS, where our youngsters sometimes look at their smartphones and they see these slick, glossy videos about what ISIS has to offer. On the other side, we have like this, a channel where, alhamdulillah, a lot of people watch this program, and I think it's very, very important that the government should also fund this sort of things. You know why? Because we're promoting a message of love, peace, and unity within our society. I think it's also very important that our youngsters, and myself growing up in Blackburn, I think there's a big massive, what can I say, an intergenerational dialogue, an intergenerational gap between our elders and between our youngsters. And I think this media can actually build bridges. A lot of people can build bridges by going out, engaging with our youngsters. Media is doing a very good thing in building bridges between the elders and also the youngsters.
So you have highlighted some of the challenges, problems. Now, we would be interested in having some kind of suggestions in the direction of solutions. So what role should faith schools can play in countering radicalization?
Yeah, I think the faith schools, alhamdulillah, I think the faith schools are doing a fantastic job. Faith schools and if you look at their statistics, their results, mashallah, it's very good. I know I've been working with a lot of faith schools in Northwest, and they are now engaging with youngsters in going out to different faiths. If it's a Muslim school, I know that they tend to go to the Hindu, to the Muslim, to the Christian, to the Judaism religions. I'm working as a multi-agents, multi-groups. They're working with different faiths. I know a lot of faith schools are actually educating their youngsters by working with the authorities and making sure that not to go onto this sort of radicalized website. Also making sure that they understand the laws of this country. Respecting, abiding by the laws, being a good citizen, being a good person in this country, and how we should live together. I think integration is very, very important. Our youngsters, is very important that we engage with them. If you have an 80-year-old lady in our community, from another faith, the religion does not bar you to help that lady. I think it's very, very important that we work together. When it's Christmas, when it's other activities, get involved.
So basically, breaking the barriers of fears, breaking the barriers of assumptions, and breaking the barriers of perception is very important. And you are suggesting that one of way of breaking all those what we call the false barriers is to really reach out and go to those individuals or go to that community and try to find out more about it and share your good information with them as well. And this is how I think you would suggest that we can make progress in what we are calling is true community cohesion, where there is an atmosphere we can create by understanding each other.
I go out and give a lot of talks on Islamophobia, do mosque visits, I go to churches, I go to temples, and the best thing is actually dialogue. Invite them, mashallah, in next month, that's the month of Ramadan, host a feast, what I mean? And you'll be surprised on how many people, right, who they'll tell you that they've never been to a mosque in this country, let alone, but they've been to a mosque in Egypt, in Turkey, on a holiday, but they've never been to a mosque here. And it'll break down so many barriers, and this media is a very powerful tool. You know, we should invite a lot of people from different faiths and talk about issues, because what happened on 7/7? I have a very close friend who was actually injured. So the bombing not only killed and maimed people from a particular religion, but even from the Muslim community as well. Everyone is in it together. You know what I mean? So it's very, very important that as a community, as a whole, we should tackle this sort of issues as one. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching and listening the program called In Conversation with. My name is Imtiaz Patel Varediawala. We have got guests in our studio, Faz Patel MBE, a very young, talented community activist with sound background in community cohesion and tackling extremism, advisor on a lot of government bodies when it comes to community cohesion. If you would like to submit any questions or feedback you may have, or if you have any reservations or statements to make, please call us on our studio number, which is 00 UK 01204 435 825, or you can visit our website as well. I have got a couple of more questions before we end this interview, Faz. That what should be the role of religious institutions? You have talked about the faith schools, but what would be the role of religious institutions of all? I'm not just talking about one particular institutions in resolving this problem.
I think we're seeing a fantastic work both in Greater Manchester, in Lancashire, and across the country, that different religious groups are working together in tackling this sort of issue. I think we're now more integrated, you know, in focusing in this sort of issues. People have realized that what happens in the Middle East, or when an attack happens claiming that they're Muslims, people now understand that we all work together. So we are seeing more of a multi-faith agencies working together, more robust. I think the media is now helping as well. If you remember, 15 years ago, we never had the media within the Asian community, within the Muslim community. Now, mashallah, we have newspapers, we have radios, we have TV channels, and that plays a very powerful role as well in tackling these sort of issues. One of the things, before we actually end, not many people know this, but I recently went to France and Belgium, and every year we commemorate the freedom that we have in this country. I went to France and Belgium, and it was first time for me with the Duke of Lancaster regiment. And it so happened that when I went to France and Belgium, I realized that 1.5 million soldiers from the sub-Asian continent of Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs and Christians, they actually went to fought for the freedom that we have in this country.
For this country.
And when I went to a place called Neuve-Chapelle, and that's where all the names of all the Indian soldiers are written on the wall, and there were names like Muhammad Karim, Abdus Salam, Sayyid Imam, all these names, and you're thinking, wow, where is India? Where is France? And whilst I was visiting this site, I actually read a quote, and this quote is by an unknown soldier, and he says, when you go home, tell them, for your tomorrow, we gave our today.
Wow.
What such a powerful statement, And it's very, very important that we, as a Muslim community and also as an Asian community, we now have to embed this to the indigenous community, that not only the soldiers from the Commonwealth, from the British soldiers fought, but also the sacrifice of over 1 million soldiers from the Indian subcontinent who gave freedom for what we have in this country. And I think it's very, very important that people, and especially youngsters, should participate in commemorating the fallen. Because for me, I never knew anything. I never even learned that over 1 million soldiers actually went. And out of the 1 million, 400,000 Muslim soldiers, they gave their lives.
Right. That's a very powerful and very moving message, Faz. But finally, your positive message to our young viewers, and I suppose to all our viewers and listeners on this particular issue, in terms of how we can actually increase or supplement the activities when it comes to community cohesion, how we can make this society peaceful, how we can make this society healthy and happy, and how we can, what we call, coexist with each other without losing our identity.
I think it's very important for youngsters first there are many challenges happening in this country at this very moment in time. I understand being a youngster and challenging my elders. I think youngsters need to work with the elders, and elders need to work with the youngsters. It seems that the elders are in their own hub, and the youngsters, now they've got smartphones, they've got WhatsApp, and it's a different way of communication. We've all got to work together, and by working together, not only between our own communities, by working together with different communities, it's important that we have a dialogue, we have a mutual understanding, we promote love, peace, and actually live together in a society. We're not going to go back home. I am a second generation, and mashallah, we now have the fourth generation. So we've got to completely take this thing out from our mindset that we're going to go back to Pakistan or India. This is our country. We should be proud of being British, And I think we should get involved in everything, in politics, in unions, in social activists, in anything that we have.
In media.
Media is very powerful. Media is very important. Get involved in groups, in government groups, in organizations, in meetings. Get involved with local public bodies and be a voice, And I know that once you have a voice, you can make a lot of difference, and work together with everyone. Exchange, visits, work with different faiths, work with different groups, and let's promote the message of love, peace, and harmony.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You were listening to the program called In Conversation With. My name is Imtiaz Patel, and on this very positive note from our young, very talented guest, Faz Patel MBE, that education is very important. We need to be very active, and we need to participate into the mainstream activities. So it be politics, so it be media, so it be I would say education, health, or whatever. And I think try to contribute something back into the society. So you give something back to the society, and then society will give you something back as well. And I must acknowledge while I'm sort of winding up this program that Faz Patel, you also write for one of the regional newspaper, Asian Leader, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I do read your regular columns, and I think he's setting a good example for young people that convert your energy, what I call, into the constructive and creative activities rather than on the other side. Because at the end of the day, we are living in Britain. This is our home, and I think in a way we are quite privileged to have the system here, and we should take what we call the full advantage and explore the full potential in order to make ourselves better, and hence we can make our family and society better at the end of the day. So thank you very much, Faz Patel, for coming to our studio. Thank you for sharing this very valuable, very positive, very inspiring information on community cohesion and extremism. Subject is so sensitive, so wide, and I would say so complex. I'm hoping, with the permission of our producers, directors, and advisors, that we'll be inviting you again to enhance some of the topics which I might have left on the side because of time strain. So thank you very much, and I would like to thank our viewers and listeners for watching and listening to this program. B-Bus channel, Community Media Center, UK Bolton. I would like to thank you. My name is Imtiaz Patel Varediawala, with another guest in conversation with another program. We'll meet again soon. Till then, you look after yourself, be happy, and make other people happy. Thank you.